First at 5, concerns on the roadways for a growing North Central Florida city. The plan leaders have to make the streets safer in Newberry.
Plus, we're live at the Alachua County Courthouse where nearly 36 new citizens took their oath of allegiance.
And Tropical Storm Gabrielle forms in the Central Atlantic, making it our 7th named storm of hurricane season. What you need to know as the tropics are starting to heat up. WUFT's First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Construction is underway for a major roadway in Newberry. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Juan Chaoui.
And I'm Carolina Tortorelli. This comes after the city proposed a $17 million partnership with Alachua County in May to cover their cost of improvements. WFT's Sebastian Broche spoke to neighbors in the area to talk about these changes to the city.
The city's growing population is driving projects that add new roadways, expand parking, and build wider sidewalks. All of it is designed to handle more traffic and keep pedestrians safe as the community expands.
Alachua County held a joint meeting with the city of Newberry in May to talk about a series of items, including a proposal of improvements to Southwest 15th Avenue. Assistant City Manager Jamie Jones proposed a partnership with the county to improve this roadway.
What we would like to do is facilitate a discussion between the two governing bodies.
Newberry residents expressed concerns about roadway safety on this corridor.
As I understand it, there's been multiple accidents, increased safety concerns to specifically people here on the west side of the county.
Commissioners voted.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is unanimous.
Some residents think the problem isn't on the streets, but the rapid expansion of residents in the area.
It doesn't seem like the infrastructure is here properly to be able to allow that to happen, at least smoothly.
Newberry's population increased more than 13% since 2020. Local business employee Heather Merrill says she's noticed a growth on the roadways.
It's gotten busier, that's for sure. A lot of people have been coming in. There's a decent influx of people.
The city hopes to alleviate potential congestion while providing residents with a smoother way to get around. In Newberry, Sebastian Broche, WUFT News.
Although hurricane season was unusually quiet over these past few weeks, the tropics seem to be waking up as we head into late September. UF forecaster Matthew Clark is live in the weather studio to show us exactly what that means for us here in North Central Florida.
Well, the good news is none of these are tropical threats to North Central Florida. Gabrielle is going to remain out to sea as a tropical storm. And looking at our tropical satellite of Gabrielle, it is probably the most unorganized tropical system I've seen. There is a lot of dry air moving into this system. The National Hurricane Center has the center of it somewhere in here, but there's lots of convection to the north and to the south. It's going to continue to move its way off to the northwest and then eventually make that northeasterly curve as we head into early parts of next week. Expected to possibly strengthen into a Category 1, but Gabrielle is to battle a lot of wind shear and a lot of dry air before it starts to strengthen. There are two waves behind Gabrielle that we're going to monitor. I'll have more on that in just a few minutes, but this shouldn't come as any surprise as we are near the peak of hurricane season on September 10th. So we're going to continue to monitor these tropical systems as we head into the late month of September. Overlooking Campus Cam, temperature does not seem to want to work, but it's overcast out there. Temperatures are in the lower 90s and upper 80s. I'll have more on what you can expect for North Central Florida in a few minutes.
Thanks, Matthew. In just over an hour, the man convicted of killing his estranged wife's family is set to die by lethal injection. 63-year-old David Pittman lost his final appeal Tuesday. Back in 1991, he was convicted of stabbing his estranged wife's sister and parents to death and then setting their house on fire to cover it up. This is Florida's 12th execution this year.
We are learning more about a deputy-involved shooting from July, which ended with the armed suspect shot and killed. Please be aware that the following video contains graphic content. Alachua County Sheriff's Office released what they call a critical incident briefing video related to the shooting on July 29th. It was on Northwest 9th Street, close to the university, but deputies said there was no threat to the campus. Officials say there were on site to serve a felony narcotics warrant, where the suspect fired multiple shots at the deputies.
Gainesville residents are demanding that school officials revise guidelines that impact immigrant students. A group rallied Tuesday night outside Alachua County Public School District headquarters to promote a change in guidelines that let federal agents question immigrant students without parental consent. District officials say the policy complies with state and federal law. Protesters are asking the district to follow safeguards that are adopted in other counties, like requiring judicial warrants that are approved by school officials.
The Gainesville police arrested a 21-year-old for the possession of child pornography. GPT officials say they received an online tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children Tuesday. They say it shows Tyler Doe, who had been suspected in a similar case last year. He tried to share child sexual abuse material. All of his electronic devices were seized and a forensic analysis is pending. Police officers urge parents to inform their children about the dangers of the internet and social media.
Gainesville residents who grew up near the Thelma Bolton Center say they're sad to see it demolished. City leaders say demolition crews will be tearing the 82-year-old building down through next week. The center used to be a venue for soldiers stationed in Florida during World War II. Residents say it was also a venue for Gainesville musicians like Tom Petty. City leaders have discussed potential repairs for years, but decided this month to tear it down.
You can't get this again. This is an irreplaceable heritage. You can build 1,000 square block apartment buildings for the rest of eternity, but you're never going to have this again, and that's what makes it such a loss.
To bulldoze it. Residents argue city leaders broke an ordinance that required 90 days of discussion before tearing down historic buildings. City officials declined to comment on the demolition.
The results are in for Ocala's mayor and city council member election, and this year voter turnout was scarce. Only 11% of eligible voters placed their ballots this election. That's compared to an 80% turnout in November's presidential race. Incumbent Ben Marciano was re-elected with 84% of the vote. He defeated 20-year-old Zachary Feliciano, who was running for his first public servant position. For the District 3 City Council seat, incumbent Jay Moosley earned 50% of the vote, beating out Mark Clark and Tambora Jenkins.
Ocala Fire Rescue has confirmed there are no injuries after a fire shook the Fort King Middle School community. Upon arrival, the fire was already extinguished, but the firefighters helped douse and ventilate the area. Only one student was taken to the hospital after falling during the evacuation process, and the cause of the fire remains under investigation.
Neighbors in Gainesville, if your main route involves the intersection of Northwest 39th Avenue and 13th Street, then we've got some good and bad news for you. The intersection will have nightly closures starting September 24th through October 9th, Sunday through Thursday from 8 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. This comes as far as an intersection improvement project, and detours will be provided.
Big milestone today for 35 people who can officially call themselves Americans.
We'll take a look into their personal stories and what becoming a citizen means to them and their families.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
September 17th is observed as both Constitution Day and Citizenship Day.
Leaders in Alachua County celebrated it with a naturalization ceremony in which 35 people became the newest citizens of the U.S.
WUFT's Oriana Torre attended the ceremony and is live at the courthouse. Oriana, you spoke to people who say this was a long time coming.
Today, we experience how family encounter different emotions at the federal courthouse. In 2024, almost 1 million immigrants became citizens. That's 12% more than the pre-COVID years, according to data from immigration officials. Today, in this courthouse in Alachua County, 35 people celebrated their naturalization.
It's been a long journey.
A whirlwind of emotions for 35 new U.S. citizens at Alachua County's federal courthouse Wednesday. One of them, Stefano Micheletto, came to the U.S. nearly a decade ago from Italy. He says the process to get to this day was a long one.
A whole array. I mean, from pain to sorrow to joy to not knowing, uncertainty, but in the end, just happiness.
Their oath of allegiance helped them achieve a dream they have pursued in a country where immigrants are being targeted and some even ripped away from the only lives they have ever known. The process that led them to the courthouse for some was smooth. For others, it took years of hard work.
I was so nervous that I'm never going to be in this moment. And now that I'm here, I want to cry.
Solange Diaz Ramirez came from Chile almost 3 decades ago at the age of 21, but it wasn't until now that she stands in a federal courtroom to receive her citizenship.
That I can be all around, more easy, that's one of my goals. And of course, vote and be part, and I can make comments and I can say, no, I want this. I would love to have this.
Diaz Ramirez owns a cleaning business. Her purpose, to alleviate one less stress for busy local families. With her new citizenship, this single mother of one now feels more comfortable about the decisions she makes for her business and her family. But that comfort is afforded to people who migrate to the U.S.
Tensions have remained high between the U.S. government and the immigrants community, especially since the uptick in ICE raids. But here in Gainesville, naturalization ceremonies will continue every month for the rest of the year. Live in Gainesville, Oriana Torre, WUFT News.
Well, the Atlantic went from nothing to something real quick. We're tracking 3 features out in the Atlantic Basin. I'll have what you can expect with each of these after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Ocala residents can expect a free downtown trolley preview starting Thursday. A SunTrain bus will ride around a 30-minute loop, stopping at parking areas, shops, restaurants, and more as a soft launch to the 2026 O-Line trolley. Boarding starts at designated stops, but you can also wave down a driver to hop on. In 2026, the city of Ocala will debut the custom O-Line trolley vehicle. Trolley times, stops, and real-time tracking can be found at www.ocalafl.gov/trolley.
Marion County is strengthening emergency medical services for residents and protecting taxpayers by approving a public emergency transportation agreement. Through this agreement with the Public Emergency Medical Transport Program, the Agency for Healthcare Administration secures Medicaid-related reimbursements that help offset the high cost of emergency care. Leaders say this will make sure community health and safety without raising taxes for local taxpayers.
As the unemployment rate continues to rise, Marion County is helping people find jobs by connecting them with big company employers at their local job fair. The fair will take place Thursday, October 2nd, where attendees from several counties can meet hiring managers from a variety of industries like Chick-fil-A, Dollar Tree, FedEx, Starbucks, and more who are ready to hire. Those interested should bring printed resumes, dress professionally, and be prepared for on-the-spot interviews. For more information, call 800-434-5267 for more. Now, welcome back, WUFT weatherman Matthew Clark to the desk. Matthew, I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that hurricane season has been pretty quiet so far, but it's starting to ramp up.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky so far. Tell us if our luck is going to hold.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys recall the last tropical storm we had, but it was actually August 28th, and we are on September 17th. So it has been almost 3 weeks since our last named storm, and that is only the second time since 1950 in which that has happened, especially for this time of year. And then today, September 17th, Gabrielle forms off in the middle of the Atlantic Basin, and currently it is probably the most disorganized system I've ever seen. There is an influx, just a bunch of dry air moving its way into Gabrielle, really disrupting its development. Still winds of 50 miles per hour, but lots of convection to the north and down to the south of Gabrielle. It's going to continue to move its way to the northwest before making that northeast turn. Bermuda is going to have to watch out after this, as it could strengthen into a Category 1 by early next week, but it still has to battle lots of wind shear and lots of dry air before it even thinks about strengthening. There are also 2 features behind Gabrielle, kind of a mess on the screen right now. This first one here is already off in the Atlantic, and it's this tiny circle, 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. And then one that hasn't even emerged off the coast of Africa, this larger circle moving to the northwest, expected to emerge kind of in the place of this first area that we're looking at. Both of these are still low chances, and we're going to continue to monitor them as we head into later September. But still, this is very far away. This is about as far away from the coastal United States as you can get. This is no surprise, though. Peak of hurricane season was September 10th, and here we are just a week later, still in the peak of hurricane season. So this is the ramp up we've been waiting for, but still no tropical threats to Florida at this time. There is a lot of tropical moisture down to the south, bringing in lots of showers and storms to South Florida. But here in Gainesville and north central Florida, we just have some upper level clouds in our area. Most of those stronger showers and thunderstorms storms are along the I-4 corridor. Some could sneak their way up in towards Marion County and Ocala as we head into this afternoon and into tomorrow, but still only about a 20% chance of rain. Temperatures, we have heated up today, 90 degrees here in Gainesville, 90 in Live Oak, 87 in Ocala, Ocala dodging the 90s, and we are still drier than we are normally this time of year. Most of that moisture is still contained down to the south near I-4, but still pretty nice outside and comfortable in terms of humidity. As we head into the rest of tonight, though, those temperatures are going to drop off into the lower 70s and then eventually waking up tomorrow in the upper 60s. So not lower 60s. We're not really going to see 50s tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow, much of the same, 91. Morning fog could be possible on your commute to work tomorrow morning, mainly before 8 a.m. and then partly cloudy skies, 20% chance of rain tomorrow. So timing this out on your Futurecast, it's only 70 degrees in waking up tomorrow in Gainesville. Some fog could be possible. And then we're heating up into the 90s again, only about a tiny chance of a shower as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So no rain chances for our area as we head into tomorrow night and into Friday morning. Some patchy fog could be possible off to the east along Putnam and Clay County, about in the upper 60s again, waking up on Friday morning and then heating up back into the 90s by Friday afternoon. There could be a tiny chance of a shower near Union and Bradford County around Friday afternoon-ish, but still very low rain chances as we head into this weekend. But we are going to watch some tropical moisture from the south eventually start to move its way from the south upwards towards our area as we head into the end of this weekend and into early next week. This tropical moisture is going to bring back some higher humidity values and increase those rain chances ever so slightly. Not too much though. We're only still looking at 30 to 40% chance of rain as we head into Saturday, Sunday. Monday, 40% chance. We're still going to be heating up into the 90s as we head into the rest of this week, and those low temperatures are back to seasonable in the lower 70s.
Traffic is back to normal after downed wires closed both north and southbound lanes near Circle K on Southwest 62nd Street. A large power pole snapped and wires were active. GRU worked on handling the situation and restoring power.
Coming up in sports, it's been a bad 24 hours for Gators football. One of their top defenders could be out for an extended period of time. And how could the offense be impacted by the loss of their running backs coach? Hannah Mack will have more on that from the Hebner Training Complex when we come back.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Hannah Getman. It looks like Florida football's troubles have only just begun. Wednesday morning, veteran defensive lineman Caleb Banks posted a picture on social media from the hospital. The redshirt senior re-injured himself late in the third quarter against LSU last weekend. Head coach Billy Napier told reporters on Monday that Banks would be out long-term, but did not go into further detail. With no updates as of yet, his status remains questionable for the remainder of the season. But Banks wasn't the only part of that team that Florida lost against LSU over the weekend. Here to talk about that is our Hannah Mack, who is live at the Hebner Training Complex ahead of Coach Napier's Wednesday media availability.
Florida running back coach Jabbar Jalouk will be suspended for the next 3 Florida football games. This occurred after an incident that happened prior to the Gators matchup against LSU this past weekend. Head coach Billy Napier says that Jalouk is handling the situation well and has taken responsibility for his actions.
In general, I think just misrepresentative of the league, of the university, of our organization as a whole. And Jabbar has taken ownership of that. As you would expect from Jabbar, he's been first class in terms of the way he's handled it.
After the suspension was announced, Jalouk issued an apology to Florida and LSU, stating, "On Saturday, I reacted in a manner I'm not proud of. There's no excuse for my behavior, and I take full responsibility for my actions. In this game, emotional situations occur and bad reactions happen." Jalouk will miss Florida's matchups against Miami, Texas, and Texas A&M. However, Billy Napier addressed the situation earlier, stating that the entirety of Florida football staff will absorb his responsibilities on game day. Napier will touch on the Jalouk situation further and give a much-needed injury report on defensive lineman Caleb Banks during his press conference later tonight at 6:30. Live in Gainesville, Hannah Mack, WUFT Sports.
Without these key pieces, the Gators head south on Saturday to take on number 4 Miami. They'll try to avoid their 3rd loss in a row. On the Mario Cristobal Show from the University of Miami's athletic website, Miami head coach Mario Cristobal says despite the Gators' 1-2 record, they are not to be overlooked.
Well, I think they're extremely talented, and they're well coached. They're a very large, powerful, talented team. A lot of length, a lot of size, and they have explosive players at just about every position.
This weekend marks Florida's second top 5 matchup in a row. No team in the FBS era has ever won either game against consecutive top 5 opponents. The Gators will try to make history with a win on Saturday. Kickoff is at 7:30. Gators gymnastics home schedule has been released. It features 3 teams that advanced to the NCAA championships last season. Florida opens its season at home against North Carolina on January 9th. That's it for sports. I'm Hannah Getman. We'll have one final look at weather after the break.
A more summer-like pattern on the way with highs in the 90s and some isolated afternoon thunderstorms as we head into this weekend and into next week.
Thank you, Matthew, and thank you for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
Have a good night.